Hi. This is from a story of getting fired from 3 jobs in one summer when I was 16 years old in Boston. The current job is working in a mix-in ice cream shop where you mix the stuff in. All right. Katrina lived in Brookline and she didn't have to work. She got money from her parents. She got booze from them too. While they were out, Katrina would take a mason jar and fill it with a bit of everything in the liquor cabinet. The best was a combination that included triple sec and tasted exactly like Fruit Loops. Katrina opened her army bag and showed me the jar full of amber liquid. The plan was she would pick me up after work and we would sit in the Boston Common beneath a willow tree by the pond and drink till drunk. Then we would walk up Newbury Street to the library at Copley Square where all the goths and punks and skaters hung out. "See you later," I said, back at Chuck's. The time clock bit into my time card with a crunch. Heather turned to me. "Who is that?" she asked, sort of breathless. I looked around Faneuil Hall. Who is who? Had a celebrity stopped by? Faneuil Hall was stupid, but once I'd seen the singer from Missing Persons strolling around in leopard stilettos and a matching raincoat. "Your friend," said Heather. "That girl, who was she? She was beautiful." "You mean Katrina?" I asked, shocked. I hadn't known Katrina was beautiful. Katrina was just, she was Katrina. She was regular. I thought her hair was kind of weird, actually. Her bleach job was mediocre, and one half of it was a short bob with bangs, while the other half was completely shaved with just a skimpy yellow rat tail snaking down her neck. Katrina was beautiful? I felt a punch of emotion. "No, she's not," I wanted to say. I don't know why it bothered me to hear Heather call Katrina beautiful. I smacked and I smacked the ice cream, splattering my apron with chocolate, getting bits of Reese's Pieces in my clumpy red hair. Towards the end of the summer, I bleached my hair. There was a day, the first day, when it was so flat, so straight and pale on my head, it looked almost like David Bowie. I couldn't recall him having my exact shade or my exact choppy haircut. It was more of an overall David Bowie feel. I wore my new hair color to work to show Heather. Was it beautiful? Swiftly the color turned, became that tarnished yellow. Nobody wanted that color. Everyone wanted white, a white so silver it flashed lavender under certain lights. Gay Bobby, who was in beauty school, told me I had to get a special toner and then a special shampoo, but I had spent all my money on the plastic bottle of Developer, the 40-volume peroxide, and the envelopes of Super Blue. I had no more cash for hair dyeing, not if I wanted to drink vodka and smoke cigarettes. I was stuck with yellow hair, and it was falling out. It fell into the ice cream. Customers complained. One man bellowed, "Forget it, I just saw your hair fall right into my ice cream." The manager was around for that one. He made everyone start wearing hairnets. I had ruined it for everyone. My hair looked terrible squished down, dry and frizzing beneath the black web. Katrina sometimes tucked her asymmetrical hairdo into a little crocheted sack pinned to the back of her hair, and it looked good, very elegant, very French. I tried to do something creative with my hairnet, but it was impossible. The thread was thin and flimsy. Even Heather looked bad, her long, magnificent hair snagged, like a fox shot and bagged on her shoulders. "You bleached your hair," Heather exclaimed when I'd come in with it freshly blonded, and that was it. "You look beautiful," I'd wanted her to say. "Your hair is beautiful. That shade is beautiful. You did a beautiful job." I just wanted to hear that word, beautiful, coming out of Heather's mouth, aimed at me. We went to see the Ramones, me, Vinny, Gay Bobby, Joshua, beautiful Katrina, and a new boy named Jesse who called himself Zebediah. We drove down to Providence to see them at an all-ages club. Zebediah was a runaway from Los Angeles who wanted to be my boyfriend. He worked at the Store 24 in Harvard Square and slept on an abandoned mattress in a Cambridge parking lot. Zebediah had a story. He spoke in a truly authentic California surfer's accent. He wore eyeliner and long black prairie skirts, painted his nails black, and was into girls. He didn't seem very bright, but I wondered if such accents made people sound dumb. Perhaps I was prejudiced against Californian voices. Because I feared Zebediah was not smart, I resisted his advances. Unless we were both drinking vodka, which was any time after sundown, and then I would make out with him forever and later pretend it never happened. "Why won't you go out with me?" Zebediah pleaded. I'd make up some intense reason why I couldn't go out with anyone at all. Something having to do with the deep, dark state of my soul, my impenetrable loneliness, my unfathomable inner pain. I drank too much at the Ramones. We guzzled our bottles quickly in the parking lot, then stumbled inside. Vinny and Zebediah went directly into the men's room to barf. I was okay as long as I leaned against the wall of the back of the room. I leaned and waited for the show to start. A man walked up to me. He was luminous, so pale he glowed, and his hair was long, dragging down his rat-like face, a pair of glasses stuck to his nose. It was Joey Ramone. "Do you have an aspirin?" he asked me. I stared at him. I shook my head. "No, I don't," I said weakly. The shaking of my head had made everything spin, and I had only just gotten it all to stay still. He wandered off, was swallowed by his crowd. Vinny and Zebediah returned. "Joey Ramone just asked me for an aspirin," I said. It was a magical night. We almost died on the way home, Bobby was so drunk. The car veered violently to the side of the road. Everyone screamed and then laughed and laughed. Back at Katrina's house that night, we drank an improvised punch siphoned from the liquor cabinet. We saw the Ramones! Everyone cheered, though I at least had only seen a hallucinogenic mass of throbbing people moving as one, bouncing up and down, the blob. I found Zebediah in a bedroom. His shirt was off and he was slicing his chest with a razor. His big black hairdo flopped down over most of his face. All that showed was his mouth, the curl of his lips. Zebediah's body was lean and etched with light scars. White and pink, they rose up from his brown skin. Blood beaded up along the freshest cut and slowly slid down his body. It was so super sexy. I went to where he sat upon a chair and climbed on his lap. He looked up at me. I took the razor from his hand. "Don't," I said dramatically, and touched his scars. No one was going to be locking Zebediah up, not like the other recreational cutters I hung out with, these kids from Brookline with big houses and vacationing parents. Zebediah was free to slice himself to ribbons. We made out for a while until he started trying to get me to suck his dick, ruining everything. "Forget it," I said. He looked at me with mournful eyes. I didn't mind touching it, but I didn't want to put it in my mouth. I got up and went back to my goblet of alcohol. "Just put it away," I said, motioning to his crotch. "If you were my girlfriend, I'd treat you like a princess," he said, zipping up his tight black jeans. Princess blowjob, I figured. I went back into the house looking for Katrina and the others. I woke up the next day around noon. Katrina had prepared some sort of fishy lunch for herself and, having grown bored with it, placed it in front of a fan to blow the vile smell all across the living room to where I had passed out on a couch. I crept out into the bright, bright sun, onto the porch where Katrina and Joshua were smoking cigarettes. "I was supposed to be at work," I said, "at 8. "Oh no," Katrina gasped. I thought about what to do. I had the next day off, so that gave me an additional 24 hours to strategize. It seemed like the simplest thing would be to pretend I'd forgotten. I'd been confused about my schedule could happen to anyone. I spent the day smoking cigarettes and longing for Zebediah, who had walked out into the Brookline night after I declined to blow him. I did love making out with him. I loved the way he walked in his combat boots, especially with a skirt kicking out around his legs. Perhaps if I stuck to making out with him in public, I wouldn't have to deal with his dick. But if I was making out with him in public all the time, wouldn't that make him my boyfriend? My head buzzed with nicotine and hangover. Eventually, Vinny and Bobby woke, and we all walked through Brookline, pretending to be droogs, kicking over trash cans. 2 mornings later, I walked into Chuck's with my normal smile on my face, my hairnet scrunched in my hand like an extra-large dust bunny. The manager stepped into my path, blocking me like I'd come to rob the place. "Hey," I said his name, whatever it was. "Sorry," he said, "this area is employees only." I laughed. "I work here," I said. "I'm Michelle." "You do not work here. You do not show up for work. You do not work here." The tourists waiting for their mix-in ice creams were getting a show. I stayed in character. "I had yesterday off," I cried, "and the day before." "You did not. 2 days ago you did not show up." I gasped and feigned outrage, feigned indignation. I snatched at the schedule and looked at the hours penciled into my slot. "Oh my God," I feigned shock, feigned apology. "You're going to fire me? It's a mistake." I tried to move past him. "I have things back there." I feigned entitlement. Heather stared at me, sadness in her face. She wasn't wearing the "It's my birthday" sticker. The manager wouldn't allow it. We would pretend it was our birthday to get extra tips. He'd been threatening to take away the tip jars altogether. "I have your things," he said, and thrust the book I'd left behind at me, the basketball diaries. "Leave," he said, "or I'll call security." Outside, I sat on the broad stone stairs of Faneuil Hall, a few feet away from a clown pulling rolls of rainbow ribbon from his mouth. Tourists lined up to throw money at him. His upturned felt hat glittered with coins. I wondered how much money he made, wondered if I had any skills that could be performed publicly for change. In a few hours, Katrina would come by to share my break with me, and I would not be there, but Heather would. Maybe they'd take their break together. I dug out my cigarettes from my army bag and pulled out the last, my lucky cigarette, upturned in the pack. I lit it with a match and wished for a new job. I smoked it slowly, meditating on my wish. A flash went off, and as the glare cleared my eyes, I saw a tourist smiling and pointing at me. I hollered at him, melting the smile from his sunburned face. "That'll be $1. I stood and started toward him. He reached into his pocket. "Thanks."